Western Maryland is home to a significant number of commuters who drive to D.C. and to Baltimore for work. How would you prioritize money generated by the state's gas tax? Would you support widening roads, including I-270 and I-81, or would you favor more public transit projects?
Lieutenant Governor, you're up.
You've got to take a balanced approach. Our transportation infrastructure includes roads, rails, the Port of Baltimore, and the airport. I supported the Transportation Infrastructure Investment Act so we can invest in all modes of transportation, because Marylanders want to spend more time either being at home with their families or being productive on the job and not stuck in traffic. So whether we're talking about moving forward with the Purple Line in the National Capital Region, or the 219-220 connector in Western Maryland, or improvements along 270, which includes the quarter city transit ways, or the Dover Bridge that we just broke ground on last week on the Eastern Shore, you have to have a balanced approach to infrastructure. That's why I supported the Transportation Trust Fund, Infrastructure Investment Act, and that's why I led on public-private partnerships, so that we can find public sector not only dollars, but ingenuity to invest in our infrastructure. So it's a balanced approach.
Mr. Hogan.
Well, I don't think it has been a balanced approach. I believe that transportation has been one of the biggest failures of the Brown-O'Malley administration. First of all, you siphoned $1 billion out of the Transportation Trust Fund, money that was raised through the gas tax, that was the question, that was supposed to go towards transportation projects. And $1 billion was just siphoned out of there and poured into the general fund, which was a black hole where it just disappeared. And then when the money disappeared, then you came back and said, we have crumbling roads and bridges and the worst traffic in the nation, so we have to raise the gas tax. The little bit of money that was left in the transportation budget, I mean, you went for over a year without even having a Secretary of Transportation or a transportation plan of any kind, but 56% of the money that was left went to mass transit projects instead of roads, which is what the question is for Western Maryland. I have a completely different opinion. You've now proposed $5.3 billion in new mass transit projects for Baltimore and Washington. Meanwhile, we have drained all the money out of the road construction. We've delayed building and fixing roads for 8 years. We cut the highway user revenues to local governments by up to 96%, so we couldn't fix local and municipal, county and municipal roads. It's been an unmitigated disaster in transportation, and we have to get focused on fixing the backlog of road projects before we start talking about billions of dollars in new spending.
What do you think, sir?
There you go again. Every editorial board that has commented on the Transportation Trust Fund has debunked your characterization of the $1 billion rate of the Transportation Trust Fund. Look, the Greater Baltimore Committee supports mass transit projects like the Red Line. The Washington Board of Trade supports mass transit projects such as the Purple Line. The Maryland business community at large, writ large, supported the Transportation Infrastructure Investment Act. You didn't support that act, Larry. Now, you said the gas tax. Let's talk about the gas tax. Today, Marylanders are paying less for gas a gallon than they did, let me please finish on this, than they did a year ago. Today, Marylanders are paying less than the national average. Today, though, and more importantly, more of what Marylanders are paying at the pumps stays in Maryland, in our roads, in our mass transit, at the port, and a smaller percentage is going into the pockets of big oil companies and foreign oil-producing nations. That's significant. That is significant. That enables us to invest in roads, I agree on roads, and rail, the port, and the airport.
I heard that's not true out of you, sir, so go ahead.
Well, it's not true. I mean, first of all, nobody debunked any of these numbers. They're facts. You took $1 billion out of the Transportation Trust Fund, and everyone knows it, apparently everyone but you. We didn't build roads. That's your governor, your partner, went before the legislature and said, we have crumbling roads and bridges and the worst traffic in the nation. That's why we need to raise the gas tax. I was saying if you didn't drain the $1 billion out of the fund, we wouldn't have had to have another $1 billion increase in taxes. That's the difference.
All right. Deb?
Mr. Hogan, you have said if elected, you could work well with the Democratic legislature. What kind of issue and/or legislation do you honestly believe you could get past them?
Well, it's a great question. I hear that question all the time. First of all, the day after my election on November 4, I'm going to pick up the phone, and the first two people I'm going to talk to are President of the Senate, Mike Miller, and the Speaker of the House, Mike Bush. And we're going to work as closely as we can with the legislature to try to work together to get things done. My entire life has been about bipartisanship. I told you earlier I started the largest nonpartisan citizen organization in state history. I have a long history of working together with those folks across the aisle. I believe that we need to sit down together and reach across the aisle and come up with real common sense bipartisan solutions. And I believe that when I'm elected in just a few weeks, that it's going to send a loud and clear message to those politicians in Annapolis that we've got to work together on behalf of the state. And I think we're going to find many ways to cooperate. I believe that my whole entire life has been about bringing parties together, and I think we can do it. We're going to work very hard to work in conjunction with the Democrats and people in both parties. Specific legislation that you could get past them, or a specific issue? I think we're going to get a lot of legislation. I mean, I believe that, first of all, we're going to cut spending. This administration has increased spending by $10 billion, by 36%. I can cut that spending without the legislature, and we're going to do it. But then we got to work with the legislature on the tax relief. They've got to go along with that. And that's what I'm going to focus on. The lieutenant governor likes to say that I only care about tax relief for the richest, a handful of the richest corporations. You've actually given $544 million last year in corporate giveaways to a handful of the richest corporations. I'm not in favor of that whatsoever. My entire past 3.5 years have been talking about bringing tax relief for struggling Maryland families. 38 of the 40 tax increases were regressive taxes that hurt people at the lower end of the scale the worst. And that's what I'm going to focus on trying to get through with the legislature. They can't keep taxing people to death. I'm going to convince them.
I'm sorry, sir. We'll give you a shot at both of those. One, working together, and also I think you want to respond.
Sure. Look, I think Maryland deserves a governor who's going to be proactively working with the General Assembly. And I've got 16 years of experience with presiding officers, members of the General Assembly. They want a governor who's going to be proactive and not defensive. You were just quoted yesterday as saying that you're going to be a lot like a goalie in Annapolis. Goalies play defense. And you can't play defense and be an effective governor. You've got to proactively work for a realistic savings plan. Now, your savings plan, Larry, includes $450 million of cuts to school construction. You've been given an opportunity to clarify that, and you haven't. Your so-called savings plan includes expanding the property tax base by $300 million. You can't play defense in Annapolis. We've got a $1.75 billion savings plan that builds on the savings that we've achieved over the last several years, looks at strategic resourcing, looking at collective purchasing agreements with state and county government. I'm going to be proactive on the offensive with the General Assembly, with whom I have a great relationship. You can't play defense in this game.
Lieutenant Governor, if I know Deb, she's probably wondering, her question was specific legislation. If there's something that you can get through with both sides working together, if you had something specific, what would it be?
Sure. What we're going to do in our first legislative session, and we'll have a number of items, but we're going to continue to move forward on the expansion of early childhood education, pre-K. We're going to deliver more career technology education into our classrooms. And we are going to have, unlike the $450 million cut to school construction, we're going to have a robust school construction program where we're not raising taxes. We do it within debt affordability. We don't jeopardize our AAA bond rating, and we invest more in schools. Those are some of the specific things that I'll be working on with the General Assembly.
Let's do a couple of 30s here. Mr. Hogan, go ahead.
Well, first of all, almost everything that he just said isn't true. Several newspaper accounts, even one today, was just debunking this entire phony argument of yours that I'm going to cut school construction. I'm not going to cut school construction by 1 penny. I can assure you of that. So you've been running around the state saying it over and over, but nobody in the media and nobody in the general public believes you. Here's the thing. Yeah, I did say I'm going to have to try to play defense because you know what? The people in Maryland are really tired of a monopoly where you can pretty much just do anything you want with no checks and balances. They're looking for real bipartisan common sense solutions, and they're looking for people to come together and work between the parties, because when you have a monopoly, it could be either party, but it happens to be all Democrats here in Maryland, you end up with cronyism, corruption, and bad government. And I think they're looking for balance, and that's why I'm running for governor.
Sir?
Look, the only cronyism that we've really seen in Annapolis was when you were under subpoena investigation, because as the appointments secretary in the previous administration, you were accused of, you were investigated and subpoenaed for hiring state government employees simply because of party affiliation. That's not making progress in Annapolis. That's not partnering with the General Assembly. That's not the kind of proactive leadership that Marylanders deserve.
So I have to respond to that. I'm sorry, but
Mm-hmm.
that was just complete nonsense. So I was credited with appointing the most bipartisan, most inclusive, and most diverse administration in Maryland history. There was a partisan witch hunt that was done by a few Democrats in the legislature, which didn't find a single thing. They made those accusations, but we were completely, they never found one single wrongful termination. But you said you don't like to talk about the past. Why do we have to go back 12 years to something that was found to be discredited? There is a current federal probe into criminal activities and possible fraud on the healthcare website that you are in charge of. And you want to go back and talk about something that was already dismissed 12 years ago?
You know that's not true, Larry.
No, it is true.
No, it isn't. The only talk of a criminal probe is from you during the last 30 days of this campaign.
There are subpoenas that have been issued to find out about the fraud involved in the wasting of $288 million on the website that you're in charge of.
Voters grow tired.
Gentlemen, we're going to keep
They are
going.
tired of it. They're tired of you wasting the money.
Let's keep going, and we'll keep this regional debate going, and we're going to head to the Eastern Shore with Steve.
We're going to keep going on a similar topic. Mr. Brown, you were in charge of rolling out Maryland's healthcare exchange. It was plagued with problems. Specifically, what was your role before the launch? What was your role after the launch? And do you accept responsibility for some of the problems?
Sure. Like I've said on a number of occasions, everyone involved with setting up the Health Benefits Exchange had a responsibility, and that included me. I presided over the Health Reform Coordinating Council, where we created a Health Benefits Exchange, an independent organization. We focused on expansion of the Medicaid program, the safety net program, making sure we have providers in Maryland, a number of issues dealing with health reform. Look, Maryland, like every state in the federal government, we had technical difficulties with our launch. And that's why my post-launch role got in closer. We moved in. We said to the board at the exchange, we're moving in. We refocused the vendors, got rid of some of them that weren't performing under their contracts with the state. We refocused the project leadership. We plussed up call centers around the state. And as a result, we enrolled over 400,000 Marylanders with health insurance. These are families who were priced out of the market a year ago, perhaps because a family member had a pre-existing condition. These are families that can now cover their kids up to age 26. These are women now who are enrolling through the exchange that aren't paying more for premiums because they're women. So we did what Marylanders expected us to do, which is when you have adversity or challenges, you don't run away. You don't join those on the sidelines who are rooting for failure. But what you do is you roll up your sleeves and you get it done. We are now well on our way to a seamless second open enrollment, which begins in mid-November, so that we will continue to enroll more and more Marylanders in the health exchange.
Lieutenant Governor, I'm sorry, go ahead, Steve.
So you were involved in these meetings where decisions were made as to which vendor was going to be chosen and everything was vetted?
No. As I said, I preside over the Health Reform Coordinating Council. The legislature created an independent body. It's much like the Public Service Commission or the Maryland Insurance Administration, where you have an independent board that selects the executive director. They have given responsibility to do the procurement, staff selection, and the like.
Got it.
So the procurement was done at the board, and then it went to the Board of Public Works.
Mr. Hogan, what, if any, changes would you make to the current healthcare exchange in Maryland?
Well, first of all, I'd like to address some of the comments that the Lieutenant Governor just made. He seems like he's proud of the rollout. He says that they got things done, they plussed up, they moved forward. This has been an unmitigated disaster. We're not like other states. We were the worst in the entire country. We're the first state to abandon our entire system. You've wasted $288 million of taxpayers' money. It's being investigated by the feds right now. How can you say, oh, we're proud, we rolled up our sleeves, we got it done, we did this? You didn't. You lost $288 million as people lost their health care coverage. You did not earn a promotion based on your performance there. And you talk about, I'm rooting for failure. You know, if I was rooting for failure, I would just let you be governor. I care about this state. I'm very concerned about these issues. That's why I'm out here doing this. I'm not rooting for failure. I'm trying to turn the state around.
What's your answer to the question?
Here's what I've called for. I was trying to address all the inaccuracies in your two soliloquies there.
Okay.
So here's what we would have done different. Back in October, this thing collapsed on the very first day. We immediately called for stopping spending money because they were obviously incompetent and unable to roll it out. They continued to throw good money after bad. We said we should go to the federal system rather than the failed state system. We then said we shouldn't waste money renting a system from Connecticut. Look, our next door neighbor, Virginia, where many of our former Maryland businesses, jobs, and taxpayers now reside, they did just the opposite of what we did here in Maryland. They say we have great private sector exchanges in Virginia, and you can take advantage of the Affordable Care Act by going on the federal site. That's what we should have done rather than wasting $288 million.
All right. Thank you. So do you want your 30?
Absolutely. If you knew anything about the exchange, you know that by going to the federal exchange, it would have cost Marylanders actually more money because our Medicaid system isn't compatible with the federal exchange. But that's not something you're familiar with. Look, the disappointing thing about this election and the conversation around health care is we're always talking about the health benefits exchange. And I've accepted responsibility for that, and we're going to have a seamless open enrollment. What we ought to be talking about is what's the next step in delivering quality of care. And what the Washington Post called the most innovative reform in health care in decades. And that's what we're doing in Maryland with our global payment systems with hospitals, having hospitals incentivized to deliver better care, quality care at a lower cost. These are the things that are part of health reform as well. Tend to focus a lot on the health benefits exchange. There's a lot of good things going on in Maryland.
Well, we're focused on it because it's the biggest boondoggle in state history, and taxpayers are very concerned about it. That's why we're focused. I mean, it wasn't really a success. It was the biggest failure in the nation, and you still have yet to admit it.
411,000 Marylanders enrolled.
Those were just automatic rollovers of Medicaid that had nothing to do with the new system. Medicaid's been around for a long time without having this new failed website to sign them up.
We're going to push on to Jeff. Jeff, this is our last question that we'll have rebuttals on, and then we'll try to get some quick fire questions in as we get close to the end here. Go right ahead.